Hey, welcome back to Driven Channel. And I'm here with the second episode with the number one lender here in the nation, number one broker in the nation. And one thing about us is like I don't know what people are saying about this market economy. Like me and you have something very similar that even if times are different, we still figure out a way to win.
Yeah,
And
I think the work ethic can't change. Whether the market's good or the market's bad, you got to have a good work ethic. I also just think, every day you're going to get dealt a different set of cards. Same thing with the market. You just got to find a way, adapt or die.
yeah. Plus, I think like lender wise, I don't know another lender that has a good looks to charm like you, or I don't know another broker that has a good looks and the charm like me.
I'd be willing to bet that there's probably 98% of lenders that look better than me. Fortunately, it's not a handsome contest for me as far as good-looking brokers. You're probably in that top 2%.
The 2% on top are the women ones, the female.
Oh, the female ones are the top 99%. You know what I mean?
Because one thing about you and me is I see a lot of people hating you.
Yeah.
I see a lot of people hating me, and I never had a broker that hates me that's like younger than me, better looking than me, more charisma than me. Just smoke a Cuban cigar with Brad Lee, and I had Ted Skilla here. I had you here. That has an office like this, or a Ferrari, or Happy. That like people that usually talk bad about people are the people that forget about like the market maybe being a little different challenges, but like I know you went through a lot. 2008 when COVID happened.
Yeah, absolutely.
Last year, the year before that. It's not 2021 anymore. And the thing is that I think that people that really have bad things to say about people is because they're on top of people that are below talk about people that are on top. And I think what they're really hating besides look, like it's really hot, right? Instead of hating on my fan, these are real, by the way. Instead of hating on my fan, dude, like hate on Chris's work ethic, hate on Chris's never ending like figuring things out, changing, finding new ways. Like you started recently building your personal brand,
Correct.
Being consistent on social media,
Correct.
You're still working 18 hours a day.
Correct.
I see you all day in, day out. But I think people really forget about everything else. Your cars, your lifestyle. Like a lot of people don't know like all the cars you have, the lifestyle that you have. You're more undercover. You keep it private. You show your work ethic. And I think people, they just criticize and they hate because people that are winning, they're really hating on their work ethic, on their never giving up, on their like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna figure out like how am I gonna keep an office like this, keep the lifestyle, take care of my family, take care of my people, still have the training, still invest in becoming better. And the grind never stops. For me, Chris, and I wanna know what you've been doing because you had the biggest month last month, right?
Correct.
In
Yeah,
the-
as a
in the last
company we
quarter.
did. Yeah, absolutely. As
Last
a company
quarter.
we did. Had a
You
very
just
fantastic
you just
second
took
quarter.
over like a big lender, like acquisition. I don't know
Correct.
if you could talk about that. But the thing is that for me as a broker, like there are challenges, bigger challenges, but you have to be able to figure it out. You cannot stop. You cannot put your head down. And I'm not working any harder than I used to work before. I'm just being more and more guarding my time and saying no more to certain individuals, certain activities, certain seminars, certain events. Like I'm not gonna go and waste my minutes because I know the minutes, like I'm gonna focus on MMAs, money making activities. And that's what I'm gonna focus on only. So I'm working the same as I did 5 years ago, 3 years ago, 2021, but I have a different allowance of who I allow to take my minutes. So now I focus, triple down on the things that work, and that's what I'm doing. And I'm working the same. I'm not working any harder. I'm just watching my minutes more wisely. Does that make any sense? And is that what you're doing right now with your work ethic or with the new ways to change?
No, it makes sense, but if you talk about yourself, let's say 3 years ago, and it has to take shape. You probably look at the way you were working and doing things 3 years ago, and you're like, man, that looks really primitive, right? And hopefully in 2027, Albert's going to look back at 2024 Albert and be like, man, the way I was doing things almost seems primitive, almost seems caveman-like. And I think that's really kind of it. When you talk about, a lot of times in business, we always talk about, and we'll use sports analogies, right? Or we'll talk about athletes or games or sports. I do that as well. But one of the things that I read recently, and there was an athlete, and I can't remember who said it, right? And he brought up the fact that the difference between businessmen and athletes is, for a businessman, there is no off season. There is no halftime. It's not like in the middle of the day at 12, you're like, man, well, me and my customers, we're going to take a break for half an hour. It never stops. The game never stops. Doesn't matter if it's Christmas. Doesn't matter if you're sick. Doesn't matter if you're hurt. The game never stops. And so I think sometimes, when you talk about, work ethic, or you talk about, how you spend your time, we just learn, right? And I think I've learned this in the past couple of years as well, whether I've made that relationship with Mickey or made a relationship with you. I think I just kind of learn over time is the people that I'm spending the majority of my time with, right? Am I getting value from them, right? And not in a parasitic way. I'm not talking about that. Am I leaving smarter? And I think I've told you this many times. There's never been a time where we grab dinner or grab breakfast or grab drinks where I didn't walk away and I wasn't a little smarter, or I wasn't like, hey man, that was a really good point, right? I don't know if I agree with it, but it was definitely some different insight. And so I think that sometimes people don't do that. And what you find is with people that have a lot of negative things to say, they cluster with other people that have negative things to say. And we're all guilty of it. We all talk shit about somebody or say something. But, Sil brought up something I think I heard her say maybe about 4 months ago, 5 months ago. Successful people are never hating on other people. They're too busy. Mm-hmm. Like they're literally just too busy. And, sometimes you'll find some of those negative people at the end of the day, their life really doesn't look that good, right?
Yeah.
They might think it does, but it really doesn't.
Yeah. I mean, I think the key thing is we don't have time to talk about other people because people talk about us.
Correct. Or, or it's almost funny, sometimes, like even recently, like it happened today, I was talking to Oscar and he would say, so-and-so said something about you. And I'm like, man, I just wish him the best because I really haven't had time to give that person any thought, right? To give that person any thought would just be a complete waste of time. Like I'm even wasting my time right now talking about that person. But the point I'm making is, right, is just like, man, that's just a bummer that they feel that way.
Yeah.
But I'm so busy, it's just like, okay, no different than you.
Most of those people, I forgot their names.
Yeah, this person, I'll always remember this person's name. And by and large, they were a good person, just maybe some mental health issues, possibly. But, nonetheless, I wish that person the best.
And, that's what I think is best. Like sometimes, because I used to get defensive in the way where I would attack back.
Right.
And I realized, like, man, you know what? I'm better than that. I'm reacting to them, and I shouldn't react to them because recently I went on a live. Mm-hmm. Actually, no, I didn't go on a live. I was doing my mastermind that I do here, and I have 10 small business owners that are doing millions a year, and they're here. I'm feeling good. Maria's there, Sil's there, the team's there. And it's going good. That Saturday's like, man, you know what? Everybody's making money. It's going really well. And then I have a few minutes to go on my Instagram, and I see like people commenting on on one of my posts, and they're saying like, he's wearing makeup. That too much makeup. That's I don't know what they said. And I click on their page, and they look, like, I mean, let's just say. Think about like a Latino that's not the best looking, right? Sure. So think about
myself.
No, but maybe somebody that's like extremely not good. Like maybe the opposite of good looks. Like they just look like they just came from who knows where. So they're talking shit. They're saying like, you wear makeup. I don't wear makeup. Like just to be clear, like there's lighting. And sometimes I'll get a little shiny, and they'll put a little translucent powder so that my forehead's not shiny. That's it. And it's the lighting and it's daylight. So that maybe it looks like I wear makeup, but I responded like, hey, you know what? You're just jealous because I'm good looking and you look like a monkey. And then I said, you look like a nopal. Like a nopal is a cactus.
Right.
And the AI, the technology on Instagram,
Right.
they caught that. So they banned me from going live. So I can't go live for 1 full week.
So they put you in the penalty box.
Yeah, but
Okay.
but it's so crazy how the technology works because AI realizes Albert makes most of his money from his lives. So instead of punishing me and I can't comment anymore, they punish me. I can't go live anymore. So you seen like yesterday alone, I went live. I did 30K just on lives in the morning, just in before 2 p.m. And they punished me with that. So I'm like, just for answering somebody, calling somebody a monkey because they insulted me first. Now I get punished. So because I reacted. So the biggest lesson here is don't react. Make people react to you. Now what I do is I just block him and move on.
Right. I think so. You know, my assistant, right, maybe about a month ago, she was, watching one of your lives or something like that. And she was just like, man, dude, some people say some wild stuff. Like people have some negative comments. And I was like, yeah, they do. But I was like, you got to give my boy credit. Every day he's doing it. Every day he's doing it. Yeah, and people say some wild stuff. The internet is unbeaten. You know what I mean? The trolls are unbeaten all the time. And sometimes they say some funny shit, But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And I think a lot of times when you look at what some of those people are doing in their own lives, yeah, they got nothing better to do than try to fuck with your mentality or other people, right? And yeah, you did make that mistake by reacting and they got you. And look how much someone who has, again, I don't know who this person is, right? I would imagine they're not doing very well in life. Look what it cost you.
Yeah.
Right? Now, granted, it only costs you a week, right? But it's a good money making source for you, so it costs you a little bit. So yeah, so you just kind of let it go.
I mean, a week times 30K just as
That's
a
what
little
I'm saying.
side, little giggly.
Correct.
Like it's they costed me.
That's what I'm saying.
I could have bought a new Ferrari with that.
Right, and that guy probably has no fucking idea. He'll probably never make that kind of money. It might take him 10 years if he's lucky to make that kind of money. But he got you. And so
that's
your goal is
210,000. They're like, not a lot of mortgage brokers are making that.
right. So all the more reasons. It's like I would just ignore.
Yeah.
That's all you could do.
So speaking about mortgage brokers, Chris, what do you see that the ones that are doing good are doing versus the ones that are not doing good?
I think, one of the things that I talked about, when I was talking to the group out there a little while ago, the ones that actually have some type of strategy, the ones that are just realizing that, yeah, this is a grind and they're out there in the field, they're out there trying to make things happen, right? The ones that are working on their craft and trying to get better at what they do, right? And I know I'm being very vague because there's so many different ways that people are doing it, but the people that back in 2022, maybe middle or end of 2022, the ones that froze up, right, when the rates just really started to skyrocket, they're having the hardest time getting back. And a lot of them have dropped out, but the ones that had the relationships, have maintained the relationships and built new relationships, they're thriving.
Yeah.
But if you're a loan officer or a mortgage broker out there and you were working with 5 realtors 2 years ago and you're still working with 5 realtors today, you made a big mistake. But you could correct that mistake by adding more referral sources, by adding more realtors. But if you're not adding more referral sources and clients, you're going to be struggling as well.
Yeah, and then if you're working with 5 realtors before, those realtors, those 5, they might not be closing anything right now. So then
Exactly, that's what I'm saying. They're slower, so inevitably you're slower. But if you added 5 more realtors, you still might be slower, but not as slow if you were only working with 5. Because again, let's be honest, right? We all know realtors are slower. We all know we got that challenge coming with that ruling where it goes into effect August 1st. So we don't even know how that's going to affect things. But again, a mistake that a lot of people make in business is they're going to react, right? Instead of being proactive. And again, we could talk about all the cliches and say all the things that we need to say, right? At the end of the day, what is it that you're doing now? And that's what I find so frustrating, whether it could be my own sales guys and the sales guys that I have that are thriving and doing well, they added new business. The ones that are struggling never did. The only thing they added was more excuses. And that's one thing people never run out of is excuses. You ever notice that with an excuse maker? I mean, they never run out of excuses. Never. It's always somebody else's fault. Very seldom did they start with, hey, it's my fault. Here's what I could have done better.
Why do you keep looking for new business, and why do you think people today are not looking for new business?
Because it's fucking hard. It's really hard to try to get business out of a new client when they're most likely having a hard time giving their existing lenders business. But that's all the reason why you need me. You got to sell confidence. People always talk about you got to find the value. You got to find, the value proposition. And it's really become a prevalent phrase in the past 12 months. But that's been the case fucking since time immemorial, right? Since sales has existed, you got to find that. But you can't ever look like, well, why would you ever try to find, more brokers or get more business? Coca-Cola every day is trying to find new people to drink their products, right? Whether it's Coca-Cola or whatever other soft drinks or waters they own underneath the umbrella, you always want to find new business. The day you stop trying to find new business, your business is dying. So that's why I don't want my business to die. I want my business to be alive. And worst case, as I add all this business, when the market swings back around, could be 25, could be 26, could be 2027, doesn't matter. All those new clients, as they pick up again, we pick up together. So I'm not just doing it in the interim, I'm also doing it for the long term.
Don't you see it more as like right now there's more opportunity than ever before?
Yeah.
For example, how many new brokers did you add last year versus this year? Has it went up a lot?
Yeah, substantially. And
like how much would you say?
I really couldn't give a number. I don't know what I added in all of 2023, but I would imagine what I've originated in the first part of 2024, it's probably about level. So that means I got a good head start for.
So you're like almost you're double then from last year.
Correct. Because also people realize they need someone that could work through the guidelines, that knows how to push a loan through. So many people don't. Whether it's on the retail or wholesale side, so many people in this business for 2 or 3 years, it was a free ride.
Yeah.
They didn't know what they were doing. It was just impossible.
You know what I noticed? Like paper banks, I'll say a few, like UWM.
Mm-hmm.
I see the applications, the fundings, they went down a lot. In the recent few months, especially, I see a lot more files going to banks like you, lenders like you, and less files going to lenders like UWM.
I mean, I think UWM is a really tremendous bank, some of the best technology in the business, and I always say that, and they have a really
they're limited though in what they take.
They're limited, but that's their business model.
Yeah.
And if you ask Matt Ishba or Ishbia, I don't know if I'm saying it pronouncing it correctly, right? But let's
just call him Matt.
Let's just call him Matt. All right, we'll call him Matt. He's got a really, really good business model that he does. I like what he does. I respect what they do there. He's got a really good business model, and he's got his certain set of clientele. And I think in business, that's really important, regardless of whether it's lending or not. He knows his clientele. This is the business that he's trying to capture.
Yeah.
We know our clientele. This is the business that we're trying to capture. So if somebody was like, man, I'm looking for a lender with the best rates, right? Well, that's not our business. We have really good rates, and sometimes we lead in pricing. Sometimes we don't. But that's not our business. So he's got a really good model. Now, he's a smart enough guy. He'll kind of change it as things go. But he does a really, really good job. But we just kind of have a certain clientele that we work with, and we try to capture as many loans from our brokers as we can. But we also realize we're not going to be able to do every loan under the umbrella. Like there's some products that we offer. For instance, we do foreign national. If you or one of your LOs called me,
they wouldn't do that loan?
I don't know if they wouldn't, but I know I wouldn't, and we have the product. And I'd be like, man, we're just not really good at that product.
What about the P&L FHA loan?
That was trash. And I was telling people for a long time that was garbage. So again, you look at
a lot of brokers focus only on those.
Yes and no, because again, like when you look at UWM, for instance, right? They didn't do those loans because they're smart.
Well, I'm talking about other brokers.
No, but hear me out. Rocket didn't do it. We didn't do it. A lot of lenders were really smart, and then there was a couple lenders that were going to bottom feed. Like there was a lender that was doing it, and nobody sent their conventional stuff or their non-QM stuff. unless they had to take a shit and do some shitty P&L loan, that was all they ever sent there. Nobody, and again, I'm not going to say that lender's name, but I think we know who we're talking about. But nobody ever said, man, I got a 80% conventional rate and term refi. I'm going to send it to X. No, because it was a good loan.
Yeah.
But man, I got to take a shit and no one else is going to do this loan, but they'll do it, right? And so you bottom feed, but that was their clientele. You know what I mean? So if you want a bottom feeder clientele, that's what you're going to get. And now when we talk about, did a lot of brokers do it? No. I would say the majority of brokers didn't, but there were some people who did. That was all they focused on because they wanted a bottom feeder clientele.
Well, I think they wanted easy money.
Yeah.
They wanted to do less work.
Yeah.
And they don't really value their license. Maybe they don't even have a license. They're looking for a quick payout because they're going to charge and get a nice full comp because the rates are a lot higher for the P&Ls.
I think the
for
rates,
the VOE onlys too.
Yeah, I think not only the rates are a lot higher, again, the clientele that you're going to get doing those kind of loans.
You know what I got? We got a lot of people that came to us and they were saying that other brokers were doing some funky transactions with those VOEs and P&Ls. I'm actually very happy that they canceled them. And they're not doing them anymore because now it's an even playing field. What I mean by that is going back a few months, we're like, you know what, we're losing some of these unqualified loans, and they're going to somebody else that's willing to take the risks. Now they don't have that option, so now they got to go find people that actually qualify. So now we're on an even playing field, and we didn't take those risks like they did.
But not only that, I think they're starting all over again, right? Because if you were a LO or a broker and all you were doing with those P&L loans, and now they can't be done anymore, and that was 80% of your business, now you're starting all over again.
Yeah.
But if you just went with trying to add more co-borrowers or, let's pay off debt, let's do credit repair. But again, that was the clientele certain people wanted. Like you, for instance, you have a certain lifestyle that you want to lead. You want to drive a certain kind of car.
Yeah.
That was the expectation you set for yourself. I want to eat at certain restaurants. I want to travel and go certain places, etc. That was the expectation you put for yourself. Some people don't have that. Some people, buying a tall can and getting a bag of Flaming Hot Cheetos on a Friday night, that's what they want to do.
What is that?
A tall can?
Yeah.
It's like a beer, like a tall boy. You never seen them? Yeah.
I mean,
you know what I'm talking about?
My family from like Mexico City, that back in the day, that's what they used to get. Like, but like I'm talking about like maybe certain family members that would get drunk and fall asleep in the streets.
Well, I mean,
that's how they're.
You can do that here. Obviously, if you just look around anywhere in LA, that could be done. I think the point I'm making though is that if that's the clientele you want, that's the clientele you're going to get.
Yeah.
That's really essentially what I'm saying. And I think some of those people were very short-sighted because they might have financially maybe not have been doing well, and it's tough. But there was a lot of people that financially haven't been doing well in this industry, right? But they're just like, man, I'm going to stick with the tried and true loans.
But you know what's crazy is like 2021, like a lot of these people, loan officers, they have Bentleys, Rolls Royces, Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and they're living a certain lifestyle. And after like, it ended like in less than a year for some, then some of them a year and a half. But today, it's very, very, very clear that I would say 99% of them, maybe let's be a little nice, 97% of them, they don't have any of that anymore. They don't have any of that, no lifestyle, no office, no nothing. And there's like the 1%ers, like yourself and myself, no matter what is said, like we still have the Ferraris, we still have the office, we still have the lifestyle and the work ethic. And not only that, I recreated myself, and I think you recreated yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're doing different things that you said before, like, oh, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. And then I noticed you opened up and you're like, you know what? I'm open to it. And then you said, I'm going to do it. But I need the right time for it. And I'm going to work myself slowly. And then I'm going to then I'm going to go crazy on it. And you've been doing that. You recreated yourself. And it's very clear, like, if you want to see, like, well, who's doing good right now, who's real or who's not, well, do they still have their lifestyle? Do they still have their Rari, Bentley, Rolls Royce, whatever? Do they still, are they still working hard? I mean, sometimes you see in just the way they look, like, how does their skin look? Their eyes, are they a little bit watery? Is the confidence down a little bit? Are they a little bit hunched? How's their body language? How are they communicating with people when they talk? I learned this from I heard Ed Milet say this. In order for people to trust you and believe in you, you got to believe what you're saying that's coming out of your mouth when you're saying it. Because if you don't believe the bullshit you're saying right now, and you're kind of watery eyes, your body language is not all there, you look a little bit down, you have a lot of sweat coming out, and you're not believing the bullshit you're saying, you're pretending to be successful when you're really like in the worst times, financial crisis of your life, but you're faking it and you're making people believe that you're killing it, but you don't even believe the bullshit you're saying, then people are not going to believe in you. Customers are not going to believe in you. You're not going to be able to make anybody believe in you. So you got to believe what you're saying that comes out of your mouth for other people to believe you. Because if I'm telling you, hey, Chris, you know what? Hey, bro, let's start this deal together. Let's invest in my idea. Let's rock and roll. And you could see that I'm like, my eyes are watery. Like, I'm looking a little bit down. I'm like, hey, you know what?
Right.
You're like, hey, where's your car, bro? And you don't even believe, they don't believe their bullshit. So I think, like, for you, when I see you, dude, you have the confidence. You have, you're speaking truths. You believe the stuff you say because it's the truth.
Right.
And I see you grinding. I see you getting on social media. I see you adding more accounts. And I see you with your head up. And you're like, hey, you know what? It's hard. It's different. But you're showing up. And those people are not.
I think, I've never been a big fan of this term, and this might be a little unpopular, but I've never been a fan of fake it till you make it. I never understood that. And I get it. Sometimes we put on a smile when we don't really feel it. We say we're doing well when maybe we're not. I understand all that. It's something we're all guilty of. But at the same time, I think some people took that phrase, fake it till you make it, and I mean, they just took it to some whole other level, and they've got people believing in something, right, that isn't true. And we're all familiar with that story, you know what I mean, the emperor's clothing, right? We could see it. The people that are really doing it and making it happen, you could spot that person out a mile away,
yeah,
right? And what I've found out being around really successful people, having successful friends, etc., right, is that isn't the case. They just are who they are. And I've always used the analogy, I used it earlier, if there's a guy and he's walking around and says he's got an 8-inch dick, right? He doesn't have an 8-inch dick, right? Because a guy with an 8-inch dick would never say that.
Right.
Because his fucking dick is 8 inches. So he's just acting as if, and a lot of times if that guy that says he's got an 8-inch dick, say, pull it out. Let me see it. They can't. They can't. And so,
like, pull out your Ferrari, bro.
Right. Exactly.
Where is it?
Yeah, and they wouldn't be able to do it, right? Now, that's the downside for them. The upside for them is this, right? And and I'm always very candid when I talk about it. 2008, 2009 were really, really tough. Fortunately, I saved okay, but I didn't walk out unscathed. If those people are smart, and some of them are, and maybe some of them not as smart, but if they're smart, they're going to learn a really, really valuable lesson, right? And what they might have lost financially, shit, they could have got a college degree, right? I always tell people, man, 2009, 2008 really kicked my ass. It was almost like I went to college.
Did you get out of the industry, though?
No. God, no.
Yeah. Well, I think a quitter one time is a quitter for life.
Yeah.
You can't fail if you don't quit.
Yeah. I think just for some people, they weren't mortgage people to begin with, I mean, this is just what I do.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know how to do anything else. But I think for some people, they got in when the getting was good. That's the easy part. But if they're smart, right, they could learn from some of the mistakes they've made, and we all make mistakes, and they could be like, how could I bounce back?
Right.
But I think sometimes people's ego doesn't allow them to be just like, fuck, man, I made some mistakes. Let me go back. Because people are going to talk shit regardless of how well you're doing. You know that, right? You know that better than anybody. So I think just for some of those people out there, just, you don't have to wave the white flag, but it's okay to take a piece of humble pie because Lord knows we all have to do it at some point in our lives.
Yeah.
Eat it and then get back out in the game.
I think a leader that hasn't been tested cannot be trusted.
Yeah,
we were talking about that in the training today. We had a training, dude. We have my friend Ted Skilla that was here. It was crazy today. Like we had a full house. You liked it, right?
It was full house.
It was the energy was there.
Yeah, it was packed.
We got some got nice catering. We have the champagne, Veuve Clicquot. We have hundreds, and then we have, like, my friend came down in his Phantom Rolls Royce. Ted Skilla, he has a Bugatti too. He came here. He's talking about stuff in the market, how we can help other clients get creative. Some people can fix their credit in a few months or weeks and be ready to buy. Like, there's just so many different ways you can create more clients. But then he comes here. Then we had my friend Dr. J came from Vegas. He has a really successful solar company. Then we have Brad Lee popped in.
Correct.
You were here, dude. The magic was in the air. It felt like the playoffs, like the finals, like Lakers, Kobe, Shaq, like the three-peat, Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Rodman. The fire was here. Cuban cigars.
I think, like when I was listening to some of the guys, talk, and even before I spoke, we were all saying different things, but the message was really the same.
Yeah.
Right. And you really just kind of find that. And again, when we talk about this, we're hoping, you wish the whole room picks up on the message and it changes.
Yeah.
But like I said, at best, one or two are going to grasp it.
Yeah.
If you're really lucky, 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that's the case. But there was just a lot of good energy in here. Let's just see if some of those people keep that energy tomorrow. That's really the toughest thing.
If you were to guess or anticipate, how many people right now, out of the people in the room, like how many of those do you see that from here to the next 24 months are going to take off and blow up? How many will do that and how many won't?
It's 80-20 rule.
The Pareto rule.
Forever. 80-20 rule.
You heard about the Pareto rule?
No.
So the Pareto rule says that 20% will make 80% of the results. So 20% of your sales force will create 80% of the revenue.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. It's just the 80-20 rule. So no, I mean, what might happen is maybe part of that 20% they do even more, and maybe you'll have an individual or two who was in the 80%. Maybe they matriculate over to the 20%. That's it.
Yeah,
that's really it.
Because you mentioned that this market we're having tougher loans. It's tougher than it's been, right? And then also, this is just facts. This we are in a we are, I don't want to say worse, but we are in a more, we haven't had this challenge dating back to 1995.
Correct.
Because in 2008, we sold more homes that we're going to sell in this year.
Yeah, correct. We're on pace for the lowest amount of homes being sold since 1995.
So what's going to happen? Like if you're giving advice right now to all the loan officers watching this and brokers out there, what advice do you give them? And also the realtors, like how are they going to close any deals right now when hasn't been this since 1995?
I mean, obviously the 20 percenters, they're going to be fine. Maybe they make less, maybe they make more. They'll be fine. If you think you're in that 80% and you want to find out how to get to that 20%, right? Step up your sales game, step up your work ethic, right? That's really it.
What about marketing?
Yeah, but again, if you were part of that 20%, you were already marketing. You get what I'm saying?
What about mindset?
If you already have the mindset because you're part of that 20%, right? So again, we really want to talk about the 80%. How could we get some of the 80 percenters into the 20%, right? Just look at what the 20 percenters are doing. Or in some cases, and I always tell people in sales, right? Sometimes do the admirable thing. Maybe you're just not a salesperson, right? It's just not for
So what do you do in that? And if you're not a good salesperson, do you quit?
No, you try to get better, but sales, and I always tell people this, you can't quantify sales. Some people have it and some people don't.
Yeah.
You ever meet somebody and he or she, they have it. Whatever it is, they have.
Yeah.
And some people have that, right? And some people just don't. They're just not salespeople,
Yeah.
right? So I think work on your sales game, work on your craft,
Yeah.
Your work ethic, everything. But a lot of people don't.
Yeah.
They want to wish it, and this is not a wishing business.
I think right now a lot of people are being forced to become salespeople.
I think you're born a salesperson. I don't think you could ever become forced. Like, it wasn't
Well, like you said, like Brad was saying, if they point a gun at you and they tell you, I'm going to kill your kids if you don't make this sale,
they'd still die. A bad salesperson's a bad salesperson.
So
They better
they're-
kiss their wife and kids
so
goodbye.
they're doomed.
They're doomed. A bad salesperson's a bad salesperson.
They're deadbeats.
Yeah. I don't care if you put a gun to their kid's head and they did even worse.
They
Said, hey,
won't
dude,
sell.
if you don't make this sale, I'm going to shoot your kid and you're going to live, right? Still wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? They still wouldn't know what to do, because if you think about it, if you have a family, right? If you're a mother, if you're a father, and you have a family, the gun's pointed at the back of your head every single day. Like, what the fuck are we talking about? You don't need literally to have a gun pointed at the back of your head. Like, I do sales, right? This is my job, like, right? Myself, my team, this is what we do. So every day I wake up, the gun's at the back of my head.
Yeah.
Every day. Sometimes I want to put the fucking gun to the back of my own head, with these, as tough as some of these deals are. But that's what sales is, and nobody's ever clear about that. It's a tough job.
Out of what is it, like 100? How many days have passed this year? Like 160?
Business days? I don't know.
Well, because the weekends don't count.
Depends.
But the
Count for
weekend, the weekends you work.
Yeah, like I'll put in a couple hours, you know what I mean,
So-
on Saturday and a couple hours Sunday.
So let's just say we're 160 days into the year of 2024.
Sure.
Out of those 160 days, how many of those 160 days can you say it was a great day, I was happy the full day, everything went right, I felt amazing, and it was a successful day, versus how many days were hard and challenging and shitty?
So here's how I do it, right? So let's just forget the weekends for a moment. Let's just talk about Monday through Friday, 5 days, right?
Yeah.
So my goal is to have 3 good days. Then I won the week. If I had 4 good days, great. You know what I mean? If I had 5.
So even if those 4 other days, do you sometimes have days that you want to like fucking die?
I mean, that's a little extreme. But you know what I mean? Sometimes do I want to, jump out a window? Yeah. But again, I'm looking to have 5 good days.
Yeah.
But if I could have 3 good days and 2 not so good, it was still a good
Yeah.
week, right? Now, sometimes you're going to have a week where you had 1 good day. I think this is maybe about like 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago.
You had one good day,
Yeah. Monday through Thursday were really tough.
but you still close deals.
I still closed deals, but the quality of work wasn't where I wanted it to be.
Yeah.
But ultimately, at the end of the day, it was just like, man, let's just try to finish Friday on a good note.
Yeah.
And you know how strongly I feel about Fridays.
Right.
I've never been a big fan. Oh, well, it's
You
Friday.
don't go TGIF.
Nope. I don't.
No?
I don't do that. If you started the week strong, right, and you worked hard Monday and you worked hard Tuesday and you worked hard Wednesday and Thursday, why would you hot dog Friday? Why would you do that? Finish it strong.
Why do you think people celebrate and they're like TGIF?
I think because maybe that they're conditioned to. I don't know. I don't get it. But I know as a competitor, when I see people leaving early, or like I'm going to go on vacation, or let's leave, grab some drinks, I always encourage them. Go. Yeah, you should go. Because I want them doing that. Because I just want to continue working.
Yeah.
Right. So go ahead and go.
Yeah.
Have a good time.
Yeah.
That's kind of like my perspective on that. But I don't know why people treat Friday like that. Treat Friday like you treat Monday. Love Monday, love Friday, and love the days in between.
What I like about you, dude, is that like me. In 2008, you started mortgage. What year?
2002.
2002, and you've been in mortgage since 2002.
Yes.
So I started mortgage in 2005, and 2008 happened, and I had 2 homes, and I had a Nest 550, and I had a dog named Casper. I had a Rolex with diamonds that I put in. That was stupid, but I made a lot of money.
in yourself?
No, I took it in,
okay,
and
okay.
they stuck the diamonds
I was
inside.
like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. I was like,
it was
fuck,
like a
bro.
like a 2-tone Rolex, and they put diamonds in because I just wanted to flash, and I
Yeah.
used to go out clubbing every day, and I used to make like, I was 23, 22.
You're making mistakes.
And I bought my S550. I bought 2 homes, and then the market crashed, and then what happened to me is I lost both homes were foreclosed. My credit went to shit. My S550 got repossessed. They locked my door. They evicted me, and you know what I did? I stayed in the mortgage industry, and I slept in I went back to my old Ford Explorer that I drove in college for a few months. Mm-hmm. And it was a broken down Ford Explorer. The gas thing didn't even work, so I didn't even know when I was running out of gas. But you know what I did? I slept in the Ford Explorer for 2 months, and I had my iPhone, my laptop, and I used to go there and work at Starbucks, mm-hmm. And I used to go and shower, work out, and sneaking into gyms. And after 2 months, I closed a few deals, and then I was able to get a place to stay.
So let me ask you this question: What do you think? Where do you think Albert would be if that never would have happened?
I wouldn't be the same Albert, because pain, challenges, hard times make the greats. They make you better. They force you to find ways to be better. And when it's easy times, it just creates weak people. And that's why, like, when people in 2008, they quit the mortgage industry and they're like, it's tough. I'm going to quit. I'm going to be a little bitch. And I'm going to go live with mommy and daddy. And I'm going to get a job, or I'm going to become an insurance agent, or I'm going to do some other shit. You are a fucking quitter. But people that just fought through it, if you fought through 2008, you stayed in the mortgage game, you got through COVID, you figured it out. When COVID happened, I remember everybody was like, you can't work from the office, you got to work from home, Zoom shit, Zoom all that. I said, you know what, Sil, we're not doing that. We're going to stay at the office. We tried it for 2 weeks, and it wasn't working out. I said, we're going to start working from the office. We're going to act like nothing happened. And then Sil's like, well, what if we get sued and because we're telling our people to work from the office? I'm like, well, we're going to go out of business if we're not producing and people are not doing anything from home. I'd rather get sued. We'll figure it out, but at least we'll close deals. We'll figure it out. But I've always been like a fighter, not a quitter. And then you figure things out. So like when you've been through 2008, you've been through a lot of hard times and challenges. That makes you like that makes you a leader that can be trusted. And no matter what, even if this economy or the industry or the market or whatever you want to call it gets 10 times harder, I know that you're going to make it through it because you've been tested and you're the guy that never quits and you figure things out.
You know, I think every punishment is a gift from God. I think some of the hard times that I think I've ever had in my life, and I don't think you understand them at the moment. Sometimes it takes you realize the next day why something happened. Sometimes it's 2 years later, 4 years later. But I really think every punishment's a gift from God. And so that's really just kind of how I look at it. You know, not necessarily the gifts that I want, but I don't think I'd be prepared for, the position I'm in today had I not have gone through the market crash.
100%.
I don't think that I would have been in the position I was when the market crashed to pull through had I not experienced some of the tough times before I got in the mortgage industry. And when I say it like it was terribly bad, but, there were some tough times where, I was questioning myself. So I think that's really a mindset people want to have. And if you ask me, and I wish I'd have answered this when you first asked me, what advice could I give to people? If you're having a hard time right now, consider it a gift. Like, I would really consider it a gift. And how could I turn this gift into something special when that next opportunity, or let me rephrase that, when you create that next opportunity for yourself? And I don't think that some people look at it that way. When you have things taken from you, and it happens to us in all facets of life, whether it's a loved one, whether it's material possessions, you name it, we all have things taken from us, right? How do you respond to that?
Yeah.
Do you look at it as a gift? I think we've all broken up with somebody, right? Or we've lost a loved one. Like, I always talk about, losing my grandparents. And I feel they're just as alive with me today as when they were still physically here.
Yeah.
Because love isn't something that's tangible. Love isn't something that you could feel and touch and hold, right? If your daughters, if they went to college, right? And let's say, Italia went to college in back east somewhere, and you're not going to see her every day like you do now. Doesn't mean you don't love her. Doesn't mean you love her any less, right? Because she's in your heart.
Yeah.
She's in your heart. She's with you forever. And so I think when I say that, punishments are a gift from God, if you remember the punishment, you know what I mean? It's going to be with you forever, and you could use it as a tool.
Yeah.
That's how I feel about that.
Yeah. Where do you think, so do you think that this year's obviously going to be much more challenging for most people than last year, right?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, that's what the data tells
What about
us.
next year? Do you think next year is going to be pink, rainbows, and beautiful?
No, I think 2025 will be very similar to 2024. I really do.
What about 2026?
I don't know yet, but maybe 2026. Because if you think about it, by the time we get to 2026, 4 years will have already gone by from 2022 when things started to slide.
Yeah.
Right? So if you think about it, maybe the dust settles, because when the market crashed in 08, really it was like 2011-ish, 12-ish, right? Speaking for myself, but also from what I saw in the industry as a whole, the dust kind of started to settle, almost like when there's like a forest fire.
Yeah.
And you see those little green sprouts start to come up. So maybe 26, but the reason why my outlook for 25 isn't positive as a whole is, again, I look beyond just real estate and mortgage data. I'm looking at the economy as a whole, right? And, when you've got a huge spike in 401k withdrawals, when you got a huge spike in people making minimum payments on their credit cards, it tells you Americans are up to here, right? There's nobody saying, in general, they're better off today than they were 4 years ago. And that's not going to change overnight. And I think we still have some challenges ahead in the economy. I really do, right? I think, why the mainstream media doesn't talk about it more. And I'm not trying to act like an expert, but you know what I mean? To me, there's just some serious cracks in the foundation. You got so many people in debt. It just doesn't make sense.
So people are in like the biggest debt in the history right now.
Correct, yeah.
And consumer debt. And they're like about to give up. Let's say they're loan officers. They're about to give up. It's super hard. They don't see a way out right now. And they're waiting for times to get easier because they heard, rates are going to come down this year. It's going to get easier. Easy times are coming. They're waiting for the easy times. Well, we just talked about we're going to have at least another couple or years or 3 years of it being worse than right now or the same as right now.
Look, if you're in this industry and you're waiting for rates to get better, you're an asshole. You're just a flat out asshole. You're a country talking fool if all you're thinking about is, well, when the rates get better. The rates getting better isn't going to solve the issue that we're having in this industry right now. It's not going to solve it. If anyways, it might make it even worse potentially.
Yeah.
Right? If you are a loan officer or a broker, I don't care what industry you're in, right? You've got to pivot, right? So rates have gone up. Rates have been up for a couple of years now. So if you haven't figured out what the pivot is, you're an asshole, right? Then you were never the salesperson that you thought you were. Because there were so many people, I do sales and quoting Wolf of Wall Street and shit like that. It's like, man, you don't know what you're talking about. You have absolutely no clue what you're talking about. And I could speak to that because I think I was one of those assholes 15, 16, 17, 18 years ago. So I think I have a little bit of more insight on that. But I'm telling you right now, the rates won't save you. You could save yourself, right? But if you're waiting for Jerome Powell and the Fed to save you, you're fucked up because they're not here thinking about the mortgage and real estate industry. They're thinking about the U.S. economy as a whole, and they're going to do what's best for the entire economy. Now, you might say, well, Chris, real estate's a huge function or a huge piece of the U.S. economy. It is, but it's not everything. And you can't tell me that there aren't people that are really, really smart, 10 times smarter than us, 20 times smarter than us, that are kind of looking and like, well, how do we get these prices to come down, right? And there's going to be a natural market correction. Now, granted, real estate's extremely local, so in some places we'll see it more than others. But talk to realtors in Austin, Texas. They'll tell you. Talk to realtors in Florida. Talk to realtors in the Sun Belt, and they'll tell you, you know what I mean? More and more inventory is pouring. The thing is in this industry is a big mistake that people make is they want to see a crash like it's a light switch. Like someone just hit it and it's going to crash. That's generally not how it happens. it happens slowly. I guarantee you a year from now, I shouldn't say I guarantee you, but I think there's a high likelihood if a year from now, the market might be exactly the same, potentially even worse.
Yeah, you said in the training that I think you said 1995. Since 1995,
we're on pace for the fewest amount of homes sold since 1995.
Since 1995, but there's, I think you said 50 million more Americans.
Yeah, 50 to 60 million more Americans in the United States.
And yet we're
correct. And yet we're on pace to have the fewest amount of homes sold since 1995. What does that tell you? Now, granted, you could get super nerdy and talk about, well, how many people, how many migrants did we have coming in and children? And so, yeah, like I said, we get real dirty in that. But let's just stick to it. Let's just say we said, well, half of those we'll take out. There's still 30 million more people. So that tells you right there something is wrong, right? Something is wrong.
Do you think that there's a possibility that in the next 2 years, prices crash in the way that they come down like in 2008?
I don't think it's, obviously nothing's impossible. I don't think it's likely, but.
So you think they'll stay the same and keep going up?
I think they'll have to come down. If not, then we have a bigger problem because wages aren't keeping up.
Yeah, because nobody would be able to afford them. Only people like me and you will go out there and buy some properties.
Precisely, right? But we can only buy so many homes.
Yeah.
Right? So what you're going to see is probably this, right? And you're seeing it now if you're looking at the data, right? Inventory is spiking in certain areas of the United States, right? And again, I talk about the Sun Belt in particular, right? But again, it happens slowly. So where's that inventory going to be at the end of the year? Where's that inventory going to be, right, at let's say the end of the first quarter in 25? Well, if that inventory keeps spiking up, what's going to happen to values? They're going to drop because you can't be like, well, more people will be able to buy. Maybe. But where's the economy going to be?
I think a good possibility is that property values go down and rates stay the same.
I think that's like if I had to bet on something happening, I think that would be it. That rates staying the same. Now, again, if we talk politically and you're saying, well, what if a certain person gets in the White House? He might be more likely to lower rates. Well, again, we all know the president doesn't lower rates. It's the Fed that does, and the Fed operates independently. But we know there's obviously a relationship there, right? But if that certain someone does get elected and they do lower rates, it might not necessarily mean that it's good times again.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, some of those borrowers who are like, man, I'm able to buy now, rates are lower, they might be that much more in credit card debt. Or maybe the spouse got laid off. So it's a good time to buy, but we can't afford it.
So let's talk about 3 positive things.
Sure.
You've added more brokers than ever.
Yes.
This year's going to be the most brokers you ever had, right?
I don't know, but it'll be a good year.
I mean, it's already you're going to double last year if you're on pace to double from last year.
Yeah, correct.
So you've added more. So what that tells me is that you're getting less deals from the brokers, but you're getting more overall because you have more.
Yeah, because again, obviously all brokers are slower. And there's no broker who's doing better today than they were a year ago, 2 years ago. So you have to
Another positive is social media. I noticed you've been getting on social media. Sure. And it's working. I don't know if you're getting business from it, but I'm getting business from it because whenever you share your stories of other loan officers that close deals, I'm going after them. So like social media increases your reach.
Everyone's going to use social media. Social media has been helpful for me. I'm doing it preemptively. There's another reason behind it why I'm doing social media. And again, it's still not one of my favorite things. But I think it's a necessary evil, and it's been pretty fun overall. Yeah. Some things are kind of annoying. It's like, why can't I just eat my food? Why does somebody have to take a picture of it first before I could eat? But it's important. It's important. And, talking with Mickey, he's like, you got to step out of your comfort zone. And, Mickey O'Neill is our private equity guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, you can't offer advice to clients and not be willing to take it yourself. And at that point, I'm like, you're right. And obviously with the encouragement from you, and that's how I did it.
The third bright side is that there's still, let's just say, 3.8 million homes being sold this year.
Okay.
That's still 3.8 million homes being sold.
Yeah.
So like I get it. It's not 7.5 million or 7 million homes being sold, and it's not 2% interest rates or 3, but there's still 3.8 million homes being sold. So why
Yeah.
can't we go get those?
Well, people can,
The 1%ers.
but that's just the way every business is set up.
Yeah.
That's just
So
how
so
it
if
is.
we think about it, dude, there's still a lot of money to be made.
There is.
So like if you're not winning right now, it's just because you're not leveling up.
I think that if you're struggling right now, the first thing you should do is take some self inventory and look in the mirror and ask yourself, is this business for me? But even then,
What
even
if they get a higher split? Would that increase their production?
no, because again, you
Some
should
people
be-
focus on that though.
Right. I don't understand why. Again, you should be trying to close as many loans as possible regardless of the split. Now, granted, obviously having a good split is advantageous to you, but that shouldn't dictate, well, oh, my split sucks, so I'm going to originate less. Again, you're an asshole.
Or my split's higher, so now my split's higher, so now I could only close one. It's not the math does not add up.
You know, counting pennies and not watching dollars. I think that's what we call it. You know, you could have a higher split, but if it doesn't put you in the opportunity to close more loans,
They
then
got to
what's the
focus
higher
on the
split?
hundreds, not in the pennies or dollars.
Correct. You know, it's like a brick wall. The brick wall is the $100 bills, and the mortar in between the bricks. Those are the ones, fives, tens, 20s, and 50s, and those are important too. But you need bricks for a brick wall. That's why I don't call it a mortar wall. They call it a brick wall. You
Yeah.
need bricks.
Like for example, in the lending space, why is it that there's like lend reps that they'll close like 8 or 12 million in a month versus some that will close 100 million in a month?
Very simple. It's very simple.
You have the same 24 hours.
No, because not everybody uses the 24 hours. Like I like to use 16 or 17 of the 24. Some people only want to use 7 of the 24. So that's part of it.
But what about those people that are saying Mamba mentality and they're saying I
the
work
worst.
hard?
They
But
don't. They don't. The people that have the
You see
Mamba
them wasting time a
mentality.
lot.
Yeah, the people that have the Mamba mentality never say Mamba mentality because they're just out there practicing it. It's just like those religious people, the ones that are always just Bible thumping. Those are the worst. Those are the biggest sinners, right? The ones that are just there living out the word. They're the ones just getting it done. They're staying quiet. But I'll tell you, this is the best piece of advice I ever got, right? Was right when I got into sales. You know, I started off doing, you know, data entry, and then I moved into sales, right? And there was this rep there who I looked up to, and, you know, him and I still talk. And he just told me this, right? He was like, Chris, just focus on getting submissions. The loans will close themselves. And he didn't mean that you didn't work the loans because you got to work the files. But I just worry about submissions, right? And so what happens is you'll get a loan officer or a realtor, for instance, but let's just talk about loan officers, and they'll originate 4 loans in July. And you know when you can go to that car wash and you could watch your car go through and, you know, that pink and blue soap and then it gets sprayed and you could walk and follow it. Some people do that.
You don't do that, right?
Fuck no. I got to get more cars to put in through the car wash.
I used to go wash my car to those places when I was broke.
Yeah, it's trash. You get a hand wash. I would never put my car in a machine like that. It's crazy. But the point I'm making is, right, is a lot of loan officers need to focus on submissions, not the loan. Focus on getting submissions. So if a loan falls out, they're fine. If they close all 4 of those loans, now you're scrambling to August, I got to get 4 new loans again. And they get like in this perpetual, you know what I mean, death loop of I'm busy, I'm slow, I'm busy, I'm slow. Just focus on the submissions.
Yeah. You know, that makes a lot of sense because that's a really good tip for the people that are watching this. Whether you're a loan officer primarily, but if you're a realtor, it applies to you. Like I always focus on revenue. I focus on making money, not on like, oh, let me cut here, let me get rid of this, let me get rid of that, let me get rid of this. I focus on revenue, prospecting, getting new business. And I noticed that like my top loan officer, he's adding escrows all the time. Adding escrows. Are all escrows easy peasy? No. But he's adding escrows. Some escrows fall, but a lot of them, most of them close, and they're challenging. But then sometimes you want to be that loan officer that, you know what, I'm going to package my loan perfectly, and I have my one submission, and I'm going to watch it and baby it all the way till the end. And they forget to prospect every day. And then they close that deal, perfect submission, closed in 14 days. What else do you have?
Right.
Nothing. That's why you're broke. And if you're always prospecting, numbers game, you're gonna close deals. And that's what I see from you. Like, you originate. And yeah, some deals are more challenging, right?
Some deals don't go
but you
through.
always close the deals.
I think, again, when you go back to it and you talk about when they get that perfect loan and I'm going to watch it all the way through, I'm like, man, if you ever become a parent, only have one kid.
Yeah.
Just have one kid, because you're going to have to watch that, because when you have kids, you got multiple kids.
Yeah.
They're doing all types of crazy shit.
I'm going to have 10.
Oh, Jesus. I'll let Sil know. I'll let Sil know. That's, all right. But the point I'm making is that you got to focus. Originating is the name of the game. Closing is secondary, but originating is the name of the game. That's how it works.
Why do you think lenders, loan officers, realtors, why do they not time block to prospect every day? Because I know you prospect a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And also your do you have a CRM?
No.
You don't have a CRM.
No.
So like you're the top guy in this space.
Correct.
And you don't have a CRM. You have your ways of doing things.
I am the CRM.
And I know that you have like a book. I think your CRM is like a notepad.
Mm-hmm.
And you use pen.
Correct.
And you write down everybody
Correct.
that calls you, and then you go in order and you call people. Unless sometimes you skip to a VIP. Like if I call you,
obviously.
you'll put me ahead.
I'm
of
hanging
like,
up on people.
you'll-
I gotta go.
you'll
Albert's
put me-
calling.
You'll put me ahead than the other
correct.
broker, right?
Yeah. Sorry, Grandma. You know what I mean? I know you're calling me from heaven, but
so
I
sorry,
gotta go.
broker. So you'll put me ahead of them, skip to the front of the line, and you'll call people in order,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
But people are like, oh my God, I haven't gotten a call back from Chris. Like, if you haven't given Chris business, why do you think he's gonna drop everything and call you back like this? I would say, and if you want to add to this, but I would say, hey, why not give Chris more files, give Chris the easy files, give him more business, and watch, he'll probably call you back a little bit faster.
Yes and no, because everybody's myopic, right? So as far as, let's just say Frankie, for instance, right?
Yeah.
He might have 15 loans in the pipeline, but let's say one of them he's having a hard time with and he's calling me.
Yeah.
We're all myopic. So far as Frankie's concerned, that's the only loan in the world that matters, right? And then there could be another loan officer, behind him, and he or she might only have one loan. And as far as they're concerned, that's the only loan in the world that matters. So I get that, right? But what I do know is where people fail, right? Where people fail in this business, right? Is they're trying to make everybody happy all at once, all at the same time.
You can't do that.
You can't do that. And so I have a rabbi who I'm very close with. He's a good friend of mine. His name is Rabbi Yuval Noff. And he told me this one time, and he's a judge.
Yeah.
And he told me this. He's like, I'm in the business to disappoint people. Every day I have to make rulings, right? And a lot of times one person is going to walk out happy, one person isn't. And so I know going in every day, I'm not going to make everybody happy, right? But my job is to distinguish, as a fireman, if you got 2 calls, one's a cat stuck in a tree and one's a 2-story house with some kids stuck on the 2nd floor. Well, which fire are you going to respond to? You should respond to the one with the kids. And so I have to decide, is this a cat stuck in a tree, or is this, a 3-alarm fire?
And you love cats.
And I love cats. But a cat stuck in a tree, we could circle back. After
What if
saved the
if it
kids,
was your cat, Garfield?
my cat's name is Cat. If it was Cat, even then, Cat's going to have to wait.
I thought it was Garfield.
No, cat's name is Cat.
Cat.
Cat's name is Cat.
So that's your cat's name, Cat?
My cat's name is Cat.
Yeah, very creative.
That's why I don't forget. She doesn't forget. You know what I mean? Her name is Cat.
So if Cat's stuck on the tree versus a baby, who would you go after?
I got to go after the kids. Cats are natural in trees. They
But you
don't know
love
what
cat.
to do. I love cat. That's not the point. So you just made the point for me. There might be some clients that I like better than others,
Yeah.
but at the end of the day, right, even if it's a client that I like better than this one, maybe, if this client that I like better has a cat stuck in a tree, I still got to help this one out,
Yeah.
right?
That
So
makes
that's
sense.
really it.
Yeah. So closing thoughts here. If before because I want to bring up this school that you're working on, like this workshop where you're going to teach loan officers how to become an originator, how to know the knowledge, how to close deals, sales too, or no?
No, you can't teach people sales. No.
You could just make them. You could just bring it out if they have it. Can you teach a Maria sales?
No. Maria is either going to be a good salesperson or she's not. Only Maria knows. There's nothing I could teach or you could teach or anybody. Now you can give pointers. Hey, try this. You could give pointers on. I don't think you could teach them to be a salesperson, but you could teach, if we're talking about Maria, for instance, we could teach her, hey, here's how you could use your time better. Or, here's how you could work on overcoming objections. You could do that. You could show her things, right? But if she naturally doesn't know how to deliver it, if she naturally doesn't want to learn how to get better, then she could be really great. She could be really average.
So you think that salespeople are born only, and that's the only way you're going to be great in sales if you're born with it?
For the most part, yes, right? For the most part. And again, I never got into industry or any industry thinking, man, I want to be a salesperson. It just kind of happened, right? But where I was blessed was to take a little bit from this sales guy and take some from this sales girl. And I was surrounded by a really tremendous group of people, and I was able to take a little bit of piece plus just myself and make it happen.
So what about these like sales people, like sales coaches, like Andy Elliott, Grant Cardone, Jordan Belfort? So they say they could teach people how to sell.
No, those are just
Daniel G.
Those are just really tremendous salespeople who could sell anything, and they're really fantastic. Now, what they can do is maybe make a bad salesperson a little bit better, an average salesperson a little bit better, and a good salesperson, they could make them a lot better. But no, I disagree. They can't make anybody better because, again, like I talk about the Tony Robbins thing. He could have a hotel room filled with 1,000 people.
He makes you walk on fire.
Right. But that person could have walked on fire without Tony Robbins. And Tony Robbins isn't going to be there if it's a Friday through Sunday thing and that person has to walk on a fire Wednesday. Tony Robbins isn't going to be there to help them. Now, they could help bring it out of them, but it's going to be up to that individual to still remember the tools that they learned that weekend. So when you talk about Jordan Belfort and some of those other guys, no, they can't make you better at sales. Only you can if you take their advice. Yeah. So they're giving you all the answers, right? So they're not doing anything wrong. Are you going to take it? But some people just don't have it. They just don't.
Yeah. So final thoughts here. So it's not gonna get any better in the next 2-3 years. It's gonna be the same or worse. If you don't adapt, change, find new ways, change your work ethic, do more, then you're really gonna have a hard time.
Regardless of the market, if things
rates are not gonna save you.
Right, guys. There was shitty people even when rates were low. There were shitty salespeople back in the subprime days. A bad salesperson's a bad salesperson. So when rates were 3%, there were some people that still sucked.
Yeah.
Now, granted, they close a little bit more than normal, but a bad salesperson's a bad salesperson.
Yeah.
There's no other way to put it.
So the last thing here, knowledge, knowing, understanding, being knowledgeable in your industry. You're going to teach people that for mortgages, or what is your
what our goal is to do? When you want to become a barber, cosmetologist, you go to cosmetology school. If you want to become a nurse, you go to nursing school. You want to become an accountant, you go to school for that. When you want to do loans, you go to school to get your license, but nobody teaches you how to calculate income. Nobody teaches you how to read a prelim. You just kind of have to learn the hard way.
Yeah.
And what my goal is to do is help people not have to learn the hard way as often as I think people do in this industry. I think there's a lot of people that have made it through this industry and they don't even know how to calculate income. But if they're a good salesperson now and they did know how to calculate income, they'll be even that much more confident.
What's the percentage of loan officers right now that you work with? Because you work with a lot. Mm-hmm. So out of all the ones that you work with, what's the percentage that understand income at a level 9 from 1 to 10 that understand income at an 8+ versus the ones that are under 8?
Again, the 80-20 rule. I think it on
So
a scale of
them-
1 to 10, what would I say the average loan officer? Let's just say we just throw them all together. Knowledge of income or how to read a prelim or guidelines, etc. Maybe 4, 5. And again, that's an average. But for the most part, there were some that are really, really bright, really, really intelligent, really know what they're doing. And then there are others where it's like, well, you got the loan and, we're here to help, but, they could have made it a little bit easier on themselves if they just had a little bit more knowledge. And I think that's what we're trying to give. In the same way when you talk about sales coaches, I'm not knocking sales coaches. If you think you need one, you should get one. But if you're still failing, don't blame the sales coach.
Yeah.
Because the sales coach's job isn't there to be with you on the calls or the sits.
So you're going to teach them how to like calculate income,
how to read a prelim, how to read an appraisal. And so when you have a better grasp of the industry that you're in, it'll make you that much more of a confident salesperson. But even then, even if you have more confidence, if you're not applying it, nothing we can do.
What if you know all of that and you're very knowledgeable and you work hard, but you just suck at sales?
Then you suck. Like I said, man, some people just suck at sales. It's not for them.
So you could have everything, strong mindset, but you're just not going to be good in sales.
A good salesperson is born, not made. Now, you could take the natural salespeople and make them better.
So they at least they could go from non-producers to maybe closing one deal a month by having the knowledge and
because I guarantee that every loan officer, because of a knack of knowledge, they might
lose a deal.
They probably lose on average 6 deals a year, right? And let's just say their take home after split and stuff like that was $8,000, $10,000. That's $60,000.
The funny part, a lot of people thought they were great salespeople in 2021.
Yeah, they did.
And then now they're not selling.
Well, like I said, there's a lot of bad salespeople out there. A lot of bad salespeople, and now they know. And now we know. That's when I was talking to the group earlier. That's the great thing about sales is everybody's exposed every day. Yeah. Every day. So that's why when people say, "Chris, man, you made it. How do you do it?" I didn't make anything. Yeah. I'm still grinding every day.
Yeah. And then one last thing before I forget, if any mortgage brokers, they want to reach out to you and they want to sign up with the best here in the nation, how do they reach out to you and sign up? Broker packages?
818-926-7078. That's my cell. Give me a buzz and, we'll chit chat and then I'll have one of my assistants reach out to you and send you a broker package.
And then I'll put your links below. And then also if they want to reach out for the school that's coming out or the training.
Just give me a buzz.
Awesome. Well, thank you, brother.
100%. As always.